Hi, Joe Peprocki from Loyola Press for Pop-Up Prayer. And today our guest is Paul Mitchell. Paul is the author of the Examine book, which is a wonderful new resource to help children to deepen their relationship with God by becoming familiar with the daily examine. Hi, Paul. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey Joe. Hey Joe. Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, let's jump into talking about prayer in general. And so many of us, including myself, we tend to find ourselves trying to control every aspect of our lives. So, can this tendency get in the way of our prayer life?
Oh, certainly. I think of prayer primarily as letting go of things and letting go of that impulse to control. Whether it's, my life has to look a certain way with respect to perfection. I have to achieve a certain amount of stuff. My life has to, the speed of my life has to, be tuned just right, which is way too high, way too fast. But prayer is about learning to relinquish this attempt to control over my life, and it's something I'm still definitely learning how to do. But I think once we do relinquish this control, there's an experience of an expansiveness of vision, like expanding our vision and recognizing the sacramentality of our lives.
Yeah, so it's a habit we have to overcome of controlling things and letting go in prayer, certainly as a part of the examen. So, talk a little bit about the examen, and in addition to the examen, are there other ways of praying that help us to let go?
Certainly. I do pray the examen every night. It's the 5 steps where, center yourself in the presence of God, give gratitude for, three specific things, go over the feelings of the day and focus on one, maybe very subtle, and pray from it, right? Receive the message there and then look forward. And I pray it every night, but it can often, like, the ego and the control can get in the way a lot. So there's another piece of my prayer life that actually makes that more fruitful. I've been taking like the best part of my day, which is right after I drop my sons off at school, and come back in the house, and it's like a centering prayer, like a type of a time of self emptying. And I've been doing it for 30 minutes, really just focusing on the breath and of letting go, and it makes the exam end more fruitful.
That's interesting that one prayer can make another prayer more fruitful. I appreciate that advice. And why don't we end by you giving us a little more practical advice about some of the ways that we can experience this self-emptying, this surrender and letting go?
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to invite anyone who's watching into that self-emptying time. I've been starting to think about it as like tithing my time, right? It's hard for us to be like, hey, here's my 30 best minutes of the day. I'm going to give it to self-emptying, I'm just going to
Yeah.
give it to God. And the best articulation of how to braid this meditation with our Christian tradition is a book by James Finley, called Christian Meditation, Entering the Mind of Christ. And he has some very practical tools for, how to make this a very prayerful experience.
That's great. I never heard of that notion of tithing our time when it comes to prayer and giving the best of it. Great advice, Paul. Thank you for your insights and strategies about how we can overcome that inclination to control our lives and to experience self-emptying when it comes to prayer. Thanks so much, Paul.
Thanks, Joe.
And thank you to all of you for joining us for our pop-up prayer. This is Joe Paprocki. Until next time, God bless.